watch your back. Troy's dreaming big like LeBron. Mass back testing like a daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way. Trading life and markets every day. Option on leg up, you're traded home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, chat. Good morning. Dan and I are surviving one more day without Troy. I think he's supposed to be back tomorrow, which is good because, Dan, every morning, I don't know if I'm starting the show right. I don't know if I'm posting the link correctly. I don't know if anybody's watching.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing anything correctly. Just struggling.
Yeah.
Just struggling to make it here on the O show. You're saving the show, Dan.
Man, I'm just waiting for Troy to. I love he'll make these special guest appearances for like 15
Drop
seconds.
in.
I love it. I wish the only problem is he's in if he's still in California, that's quite a few hours different.
Yeah, it's like 3 a.m. there or something crazy. So I think I did the show properly. Chat, if you can see us, say something. It says we have 11 people watching. So big numbers right out of the gate, So Dan, how was your night last night?
Night was fine. Yeah, good to move into the holiday season here already.
I know. Listen,
Thanksgiving's just a few weeks away, or
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from today. You're right.
That's right. Yeah.
That's my goodness.
Quick on us, and market, not that it shuts down, but it's like you get into the holiday mode pretty much starting after OC earnings. I think you have, I think next week we have in the market Nvidia earnings, which could be maybe a catalyst, but I think the story of the market is just the resiliency, right? That we're still near the highs, but XLK isn't necessarily leading the charge. If you look over the last week, some of the sectors in the SPX, you've got XLP, XLE up about 2.3%, healthcare XLV up almost 5%, XLB up 3%, and this is with XLK doing nothing over the last week or so. So it just shows that this, people are, it seems, rotating out of this stuff.
Yes.
And it's not just, XLK doesn't perform, we get beaten up. So, we're still at relatively high levels. As you said, Matt, we're down about 25 points in the ES, which seems like a lot these days because we don't.
It does.
But the VIX is, maybe, and that's been down 9% over the last week. We're in the 17s, which.
We are in the 17s. And, let me look. I didn't look yesterday. I think was one of those VIX up market up days. Was it Tuesday into Wednesday? Yeah, I think it was. But today definitely will probably be a VIX up day if we continue to be where we are in the futures. So Dan, you said something interesting. You talked about the performance of the market in terms of the various XL sector funds. And I'm super interested in that because I feel like that's something when I got into options trading, I feel like I heard that a lot. And, I do some non-options trading, kind of in the XLE genre. A lot of people that are always mad that oil's not as high as they think it should be.
Right.
These type of people are my friends who are always long a value stock with like a 1 PE or and can't understand why it's going up. These are my people. And they, they look at the world a lot in terms of sectors as well. And I just feel like in the larger population, the whole sector discussion has just been dwarfed since COVID by, I would say, QQQ. Although what you're saying is this family of funds that all, the XLEs, the XLKs, the XLRs, the different basket of ETFs,
Yeah, the sectors in the SPX, and it just shows.
Yes.
I mean, and I've never been. I mean, I just have always been just trade SPX. I mean, to be honest with you, mostly SPX, always. And I remember when we were trading years back, I'd always go over. I
in the pits.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but I was just when I was seeing like Tom Sosnoff, we were doing stuff. Shows or stuff, and I'd see him a lot, but he was always SPY, never traded SPX for a long period. And I'm like, I only trade SPX. I mean, it's like, liquidity's fine. But I think now with the sectors, it just gives you a feel. People on one hand are nervous. They'll say, well, 37% or whatever it is XLK, and it's run by the SPX is run by these technology sectors, whatever. But, it just shows that, you look over the last week, some of these other sectors have paved the way. They're just moving out of the SPX into that. And I think it's good to watch them. Yes. I don't know how much. I mean, the nice thing, I'll tell you, we were talking a little bit, Matt, about sectors.
Yes.
Or beginners. We're talking about beginner type strategies. But one thing I'll do, tell people, if you look at a lot of these sectors, the price of these sectors, they're pretty cheap. Yes. So you can do spreads much. If you want to, I like to put at certain strategies, pour them into, if you're a beginner, these are really cheap vehicles. It's not like a $6,000 SPX. You look at the price on some of these XLE, XLF, XLP, they're cheap. You could do something real cheap, get your feet wet, and do something like that. But because I think beginners shouldn't be trading, even in SPX, beginners shouldn't be trading more than $500. In my opinion.
Listen, Dan, you're speaking my language. You're reading ahead. That's what we're gonna talk about today.
Beginners today.
But the whole XL is interesting tidbit. So these XL funds are run by State Street, and yes, there's a comment from the chat. Does this figure into the defensive or cyclical indicators? I think it can, because State Street has these funds for not everything you can imagine. I think I mentioned XLRE, the real estate one. The XLE is the energy. XLK is like the Qs is technology.
XLV, which is the biggest one, this has been up about 5%. The healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare. But they've got a bunch of different ones. Even in the energy sector, you can break it out to oil and gas equipment and services, oil and gas exploration. There's one for pharmaceuticals. There's multiple ones like banking, metals. It's pretty interesting. You can go to State Street and take a look at what some of their equity asset, and they call them spiders. Right. So that you'll also hear that term thrown around. People will say, I trade the spider. A lot of times when they say I trade the spider, they might be implying that they trade SPY. But a lot of these are SPDRs, actually a classification. It's a trademark of State Street, and they have all these different funds. So it's kind of interesting. The other thing, Dan, that's interesting, which I have done a little bit of this, it's super interesting to do pairs trades on these.
Yeah, Troy does some of those, I know.
Yeah, and they're cheap enough that you can go long via a long call or go short via a long put without getting your noodle absolutely baked.
They're cheap. These are
Yeah. So as far as beginners, and if somebody wants to take a opinion, let me see how many I'm going to see if I can just filter how many spiders they have. They have a ton. They have a
Yeah.
ton. Listen, no affiliation to State Street. We're not affiliated. It's just kind of interesting. And Dan, we're jumping ahead, not to get ahead of our beautiful show notes here, but
Yeah.
we are going to talk about some beginner stuff today because
Yes.
I've had a couple interesting conversations in the last week that's got me thinking about it. But before we do that, the chat is active. Thank you guys. Good morning. Did anybody see a light show last night? If you lived in the northern hemisphere of our round ball in the sky, did anybody see the northern lights? This is a picture of the northern lights. I live in Indiana. This is a picture of the northern lights in Indiana. I did not take the picture. I did not see the northern lights. Dan, the northern lights were supposed to start around 10 to 1
Wow.
in the evening. I've got young kids who are in school. We bundled up at 9 at like 8:30. Found a great location, a park, kind of like not away from the light pollution, but like a little bit away.
Yeah. Right.
And there were a bunch of other people who had thought the same thing. My kids were running around the parking lot singing Christmas songs, and they started to fade fast.
Yeah.
Decided to call an audible, went to McDonald's and got them ice cream.
Wow.
5 minutes after I finished the ice cream cone, one of them was asleep. So we called it, had to go back in. The chat is active. Got everything from Georgia and Tampa. Shout out Tampa. Shout out Georgia. Sheboygan. I know where that is. Shout out to Wisconsin.
You think, yeah.
Does anybody have any pictures of the aurora borealis that they took? If they do, if you want them on YouTube memorialized on this show, put them in the OO show discussion channel. If you took this picture, tell us where it is. If you're willing to share that, we will put it on the show because we are a show that appreciates the natural beauty of this beautiful creation. And that's a pretty nice picture. So
Yeah.
we've got photographers in the chat. We've got camera aficionados. You guys can probably tell us what f-stop to use on our manual settings on our iPhone 12s or whatever. Please do. Feel free. And if you took a picture, drop it in the chat. But Dan, I don't know. Somebody said they saw them all the way down in Florida.
Wow.
So I don't know if they were visible in your neck of the woods. I don't know if you could see them in Tennessee. I'm assuming if you could see them in Florida, you could maybe see them in Tennessee.
Matt, you make the problem is, just like you said, your kids were fading fast.
Oh
As
my
you get a
gosh.
little older, if I could make it till 9 o'clock, that's about,
I
in the morning, that sounds, that sounds daunting.
listen,
Life.
I'm not a big drinker. I'm just, it's not a huge thing to me, but I do love the holidays. And we had snow on the ground. Now we have leaves, which have snow on top of them because most of the leaves have still not fallen. But the mark of the winter season is that I bought a bottle of mulled wine.
Mold.
From Aldi, one of my 2 favorite grocery stores, and have just been like, I think in Scotland you would call it a wee dram, just a tiny amount, which is like, I don't think you're supposed to, I'm not a wine drinker. I don't think you're supposed to drink wine in wee drams, but at night I've just been pouring like this much into a glass, warm it up for 30 seconds. And I put so little in there that 30 seconds it is piping hot, and just right before bed, I finished a book, the wine, I was out. And I've been like, supposedly alcohol actually makes you sleep worse, even though like the amount I'm drinking, like this bottle might last me until Christmas, drinking as little as I'm drinking every night, but it is mulled wine. It's so good. I think humans have been drinking mulled wine for probably thousands of years. We'll probably still be drinking it for
Spell
thousands of
that.
years.
I'm thinking mulled wine. Spell the mulled.
MULLED, mulled wine. I did not have a wee dram of whiskey. That would probably half a wee dram would put me under the table, but this is mulled. Spiced wine would be another way to say it. It would be similar to the old Christmas song, Wassail, Wassail all over the town. It's Wassail. So it's got like, it's a red, I'm looking this up right now so I don't make a total fool of myself. But I guess the traditional recipes have orange and maybe some say sweet spices, cinnamon, clove, anise, and then just the wine. But I've been this Aldi mulled wine. If you work for Aldi and you would like to sponsor the show, reach out. What I have was I found it on the website, $6.65. Glühwein. I need one of our German friends to help me. Glühwein mulled wine, 1 liter.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna last me till Christmas.
Yeah.
Clove, cinnamon, orange, and lemon peel. So, Dan, a little bit of wine puts me in a stupor. This market, it's in a stupor too. We're gonna get to a back test, but real quick, I got to get your take. The economic data, nobody knows. Yes, Glühwein, fish. This is what I'm talking about. If you speak German, somebody type this out in the way that you're supposed to pronounce it, because I don't know. Okay, we're down 25.
Yeah.
But we're at 68. We're going to open around 68.25. We're not getting any of this economic data. I think I saw. Yes, Manfred. Thank you. That's got the, is that called an umlaut? That's what I'm talking about. Glühwein. Glühwein. Tune in tomorrow for more German mispronunciations.
Yeah.
Dan, we're not getting economic data. I saw a headline. I didn't verify it, so I'm just going to pass on an unverified headline that some of this economic data may never come out. Like they just may skip it, which honestly, who would care? I mean, CNBC would care. Jim Cramer might care, but I thought this thing was supposed to be resolved by now, but I guess it's not.
Well, I mean, I read something a couple of days ago. Their first step as far as the data that hasn't been released, they weren't going to release the data, but they'd release this is bureaucracy at its best. They'll release a schedule when they would be releasing some of the data or something. I don't.
Yes.
But
yes.
I don't like you. It doesn't. I think the market is just, people want to see maybe a certain direction, but again, I think it's hard for traders to just take what's in front of us, right?
Yes.
We all want, and I think that's very difficult for a trader. Just what's in front of you, what's going on right now.
Yes.
And waiting more the last week. What is the vol done? How is the price moving? We've had bigger candles in the price moving over the last 2-3 weeks. Vols kind of down to the lower end of the last couple of weeks. Okay, what are you comfortable? What would that? You've got some movement, which is good. I mean, you take like double calendars. You can speak on this, Matt, but you've had some movement.
Some
kind of probably is a lot of it, right?
Yeah, timing's a lot of it, and it is an interesting discussion though on the whole. We're up almost 20% this year, maybe not 16, 17%. That is circling around to what we were talking about before about the sectors. There's a ETF that you can look at. There's a bunch of people have this, which is an equal weight S&P ETF. And so it's going to value, things like Diamondback Energy at the same level as Nvidia, at the same level as Dow, at the same level as Coca-Cola, or who I'm just picking random different companies in different industries. And the equal weight S&P is up. It's up about 9%, which I don't know. I don't know what the delta between the equal weight and the S&P is in a typical year, but I think, that's That's what a lot of people who are calling this the bubble, or we're in a bubble, or who want to go full Michael Berry or full Troy, as it were, as a perma bear, and things have to crash. That's what there's a lot of people looking for those sector rotations. And can we get maybe more like some of these other things besides the Qs, besides XLK, have a little more health, a little more vitality in them? So that being said, we talked about beginners. We're going to show a back test here. And here's the genesis of the back test. Shout out to the OO Discord. If you're not on the OO Discord, I don't know why. The OO Discord, here's the thing. If you're trading options, a hill I will die on is that a community is essential to have if you're trading options.
Yeah.
There's no options community like the OO Discord community. I've had 2 conversations in the last week that got me thinking about beginners. And one of the things is we show a lot of strategies on this show, and a lot of them are advanced. A lot of them are complicated strategies. And I had a discussion yesterday with one of the true legends of the O Discord. Shout out to you. Everybody knows who I'm talking about beginners. We were talking about calendars, and he just made a comment about, I wouldn't recommend this for a beginner. And I thought, oh, you're right. I don't know that I'd recommend a calendar for a beginner to options, because we have a lot of beginners to OO that know options. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you don't know options at all, if you never have traded options. And I thought, well, we've got a world-class back tester. What is an interesting back test that has some lessons for a beginner? I present to you a beginner back test. And what we have here is very straightforward. This is and here's the thing. I baked this based on a previous recipe. So this back test has a couple things I really like for beginners. It's got a couple things I don't like for beginners, but those are valuable too. And we're going to talk about those. This is a long strangle on Thursdays, and you're entering it. I actually don't need a floating time entry. You're entering it if VIX has moved down. And I had a couple different versions of it, one of which had a floating time entry, which is why it is on here. But we could do this without the floating time entry. And I will drop a link in the description here. We're going to iterate it on a little, so the link is coming. But Dan, here's what we got. You're buying a long 20 delta put, a long 10 delta call. And now that I'm looking at it, those should probably be inversed. Let's just make a change here and run these inverted.
That's my first thought. This is only short deltas. You probably want to be long delta. Right?
So the back test enters in the morning when VIX is down, and it's a 1 DTE trade. About the same. It's about the same. It's a 1 DTE trade that you are exiting at 0 days in trade. So here's one of the things I like for beginners. You would get to see the Greeks. You would get to see some Greeks, because let's see. I don't know that I've even ever. Oh, I do have it. Okay. I wasn't sure I had modeling in this, but I do. Here we go. Let's model this thing out. So this would be like a Thursday. The 13th is today. You would want to do this on Friday. And what did I pick? It doesn't really matter, but I think I picked 10 on the puts and 20 on the calls, right? Yeah. So we'll do the 605 there. And then on the calls, we'll do, the market's not open. So I'm just going to kind of wing this here. And we'll do delta, right? Yeah. So we'll do maybe this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then let's look at a chart, because visuals are helpful. So here's why I like this. This is a very simple concept to understand. And a lot of people start out trading options. Dan, what would you say the most like, I'm talking absolute beginner. You've taught people options for a long time. What do most people say that they start with? Like, what do you see them start with?
I'm kind of mixed. I think like you're doing, starting them with a long call or a long put, something like that, easier to get your head wrapped around it, and then maybe go into a vertical spread.
Yes.
And then down the road, get into the world wacky world of, butterflies, calendars, iron
Yes.
condors. There's too much going on there. But like you said, you can look at the Greeks here.
Yes.
You can have a nice discussion with a beginner, and also I think it's just sometimes it's good to just, hey, focus on one thing, right?
Yes.
Forget
And
too
that's
much going on in the brain cells here. It doesn't really, I mean, and this is when you're doing something like this, a long strangle, it's going to really amplify some of these things, right?
yes.
And even though we're mostly positive theta traders,
Yes.
this is coming the opposite end. And what do you need? What do you want?
Yes.
And
That's exactly right. That's exactly where I was going with this, because I don't know about most people listening. Chat, weigh in. Does anybody remember their first options trade? I think my first options trade was a long call. And I'm trying to remember. It might have actually been a long put. It might have been a Boeing put. I don't remember, but it was in late 2019, probably early 2020, January 2020, probably. And here's what I like about this setup as a beginner's options trade is exactly what the chat said. It's good to put on and learn the greets. That's exactly where I was going with this thing.
And it's cheap.
It's cheap.
$150.
It's cheap. It's not going to go to zero. And you can learn a bunch of different things from this.
Yeah.
Shout out covered calls. Shout out navigation trading. Shout out in the chat. Iron condors. Exactly. So with a strangle, shout out Tom Lee. Don't know, but it got messed up. Probably same as well. With a strangle, what I like is you get to see the movement from a few different angles. So you can have a lot of different scenarios. You can have a scenario where you pump to the call side and the put loses. You can have a scenario where you pump to the put side and the call loses. You can have a scenario where you do nothing and they both lose. You can have a scenario where you pump to the call side and the vol crushes and they both lose. Those are all, I would think, Dan, would you agree? Those are all really important things for somebody to learn.
But what I also like that this modeling tool with OO has, if you click the volatility up there implied,
Yes.
I like the fact that this is much cleaner to get the individual options.
Yes. You can see exactly what happens with.
So doesn't yours, if you click, you should be able to get the vol of each one.
Well, this is just one day. So it's the vol of both of them tomorrow. So
I got you.
But you can see, to your point, you can see this trade. And again, this is kind of why I like this, because this is a trade in which the primary Greeks all kind of matter. Vol matters. So theta matters. Delta certainly matters. Gamma and vega matter maybe a little bit less, maybe, because you're, again, the back test, and I'll bring up the back test here. Let's go back to the back test now. Let me see if I can find the back test first. Trick number one, can I find the back test I just showed? Yes. Here's a slightly different version. I will just drop this in the chat since we're talking about it. And again, this is based on the candy bar that I showed a while ago, and I just made it into something that we could talk about. And here's a couple other things I like about this. It gets you used to losing. It gets you used to losing, Dan. I think that's an important skill. There's a book that gets referenced a lot on the OO show, talk called Best Loser Wins. There's a lot of talk about psychology. This trade loses most of the time. I think that's important for people learning options. I saw somebody told me about a concept, and I watched a video the other day from an options person, and it was a 90% win rate strategy. And it was, the profits were minuscule.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, I've been on this insane win streak. And I looked at it and I thought, well, of course, but if you lose, your losses are going to be like 19 10 to 15 times, 19, 20 times your profit,
Right.
you get 2 of those losses in the row. You have to win every trade for a whole year to make up for it. This is the opposite.
Yeah.
This is the opposite. And something else that I like, you're not going to zero because you still have a day. You can get vol crushed. You can get vol crushed to oblivion here. I mean, there are some bad vol crushes, but most of the time you're going to get the experience of entering and exiting. And what I really should do, just to eat my own cooking here, because I always tell people not to backtest I tell people this: if you backtest at 10 o'clock, that it's noisy. So I'm going to take off the floating entry and put this at 10:01. But you're getting out for money. So you get to watch an execution, both entering and exiting. You get to see how that works. And you get to, let me save this version. Here's the thing. There's better versions of this backtest, but I like this. And here's another thing. It's easy to make this backtest better. And now I'm going to talk about what I don't like. It is easy to make this backtest better by adding an intraday VIX move down. And then it actually turns into like a pretty good backtest. The reason I don't have this is the main reason I don't like this for beginners. And it's not as I don't like it as just as much as a reality of it just doesn't trade that much. So in 4 years, you're trading 90 times. So it trades a little bit less than half of the Thursdays. And again, if you want to make this a better backtest, I'll just show you here. You could just do min intraday VIX move down. We'll just say here, let's just do 0.5%. That might get us kind of halfway to a few more trades. But if you put 1% on there, I'm pretty sure it juices your capture rate nicely. It juices your MAR nicely. It cuts the drawdown. But there we go. This is kind of halfway. It only trades 30 times. So that's why I didn't have that on there. It only trades 30 times. But if you do it like this, we got a lot going for it. You get to enter a trade, you get to exit a trade. And here, Dan, here's the thing I like most.
Yeah.
It's a long debit trade. You're not going to get black swan if the market does something crazy.
Right. You get, what's that? By 1,000.
Yes. Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
This is death by 1,000.
This is death by 1,000 paper cuts. Yeah. Yes.
But I like this is you're basically buying a strangle. But when you think of the foundation of iron condor or double calendar, the foundation is a short strangle. That's what you're that's what you're doing.
That's right.
So it's good to understand the opposite, because you're going to take them eventually at some point to the other side and say, okay, what's the mindset if you're selling a strangle?
That's right.
Right. And so I think going back and forth with these things is important. Now this one, you still got the put is 20 delta, even though
I mean, this actually is kind of a let's play around with this. This is kind of another selling point, is that the concept is kind of robust. I hate to use the word robust because it really relies on a couple big outsized winners, which may not continue. But when we did it 2010 the other way, it was about the same. And this is still about the same, even if you go 10 delta on both sides. Yeah. You could probably go, I mean, I don't know. You can probably play with these. And I think those winners were so extreme. As long as you catch the winners in here, it's going to be something around this. But just this idea of buying a strangle and watching it die, and why most of the time that's going to, right? That's going to lose most of the time.
Yeah.
But every now and then, if you catch a winner, you can catch one of these winners, you can have a pretty nice sized winner.
Yeah.
So these are a few things that I kind of like about it. Again, some things I don't like. Again, we're showing a concept here. Here's a thought. This has been a losing trade. Obviously, people do options to make money, but having a beginner get used to losing, I think, is maybe a losing within reason. which is why I like this test, because you're buying, and I don't even know what version I've got. I've got the 1010 version. Okay. So we've got like all these versions have some iteration on the concept here. They pretty much all are negative this year, but these are smaller losers. These are smaller losers.
Yeah.
And so you might lose half your money. You might use in a high vol environment. I mean, again, I'm not trying to make the world's best back test here. We could put a max premium on here. You could put a bunch of different things, but you're winning about a third of the time. Your winners have to be a lot bigger than your losers for this to even continue, because you're only winning a third of the time. So again, a lot of stuff I like, Dan.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff I like.
Yeah. And it's, I think of the phrase, I don't know, what was the movie with Jack Nicholson? You can't handle the truth. Remember that?
A Few Good Men. Are you talking about the movie that has America's Greatest Living Actor, Tom Cruise?
Oh boy.
Listen,
Oh, boy.
listen. Talked about this back test a lot. We're going to wind it on this lighter note. I say that. Is that not the craziest sounding thing? Tom Cruise, America's Greatest Living Actor.
Yes.
How many Tom Cruise movies can you name that are like, oh, that's a pretty good movie? Here's the thing. You can name a lot.
Yeah.
And I would argue that he's got more hits than misses. I haven't seen his early stuff. I've never seen Days of Thunder. Never seen, I think Risky Business is another one.
Yeah.
But a lot of the movies that he's in, even lately, I mean, Edge of Tomorrow, 5-10 years old, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Oblivion, fantastic movie. Even his more popular movies, most of those Mission Impossible movies, really good movies. You start naming the number of movies that Tom Cruise is in, they're like, oh, that's actually a pretty good movie. It's a big list of movies.
Man, I was thinking of, who I was thinking of, not Tom Cruise on that. I was thinking of
Denzel.
In that movie, Jack Nicholson.
Oh, Jack Nicholson.
Wasn't it? Jack Nicholson said something like,
you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah. But I think, but we're relating it to risk management. I think that's the biggest for me with newer traders. Everybody says it to be, okay, here's the plan, right? You're going to do this, right? In the back testing, here's your plan.
Yes.
And they all nod their head.
Yes.
I consent. But what I've seen over a long time is that no, they can't handle the truth, because once they lose, I see it on, whatever it is, calendars, whatever. I usually will tell a student, look at your first 4 months, you're going to do this strategy on Tuesday, this on Thursday. You're going to do it every week, SPX, keep it under $500, whatever. You're going to do it. You're going to learn. And, you got a couple grand on the table in a $6,000 vehicle.
Right.
You'll be fine. But the thing is, people, what they should be looking at it is, look at, I can learn a lot. I'm going to learn a lot. I've got a live trade, like you said. I'm going to put the trade on. I'm going to take it off. But I still see people, they have a big loss. Well, these don't work. And I always say, well, wait a second. Because you lost, does that mean all the other calendar traders in the world lost this week?
That's right.
Anybody made? I always say that. I said, do you think anybody made? If someone says, I got killed on double calendars this week. No. If you hear 20 people in the OO Discord say, yeah, we all lost. Okay, confirmation.
Right.
If you hear the rest of them say, this was a great week.
Right.
Maybe that person did something wrong. But I think, so I think it really is if you don't, quoting one more time from one of my favorite movies, Cool Hand Luke.
Okay.
Right. Part of dealing with students, to me, the first 6 months is get their mind right. They're coming in, Fibonacci, all the charts. I'm like, what's wrong with that? For right now, let's leave Fibonacci at the door. Let's leave Fibonacci at the door. Focus on the plan, the risk management, volatility, of options. You can always come back to the Fibonacci and Fibonacci. So you got to get your mind right. And that's what I'm sure you see in the OO, you're coming in, people are going to do range bound trades, but they're coming in with a lot of baggage, right? They're coming in, you don't know where they've learned.
Right.
Trading. We had a guy, I don't know if I ever told you this. There was a guy, I think I brought up the story in the OO Discord one time. There was a guy, Charlie Oberman. I don't know if he's still alive. I remember he would trade by the stars.
Oh,
This is a big-
astrology.
He used to wear this real gaudy fur coat, and he would like.
It's not
He
surprising.
did some crazy, but it was trading astrology, and I think people sometimes are attracted. The crazier it is, the better.
Right.
Right.
I know somebody. I know somebody who incorporates that into their trading.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
I might have to send him this link
you might
and
have,
tell him that he feels seen. Yes.
yes.
But listen, I think he's done well by it. Who am I to argue?
No.
Here's what I'll say about Charlie. Sounds crazy. We started the show talking about Northern Lights. People have been tracking the stars for a long time.
No, they have been.
We may, Dan, this is maybe what we're missing. This is maybe what we're missing in OO.
Yeah.
Is there's no filter for if Mercury is in retrograde, which is my favorite tell. Is Mercury in retrograde?
And man, I
don't know.
think you need to propose to Rusty tomorrow's show and just say, look, you've got RSI, you have all these indicators.
Yeah.
You get kind of like
Astro.
a lunar eclipse or some astro or something.
That's right.
It might work.
That's right. You don't know. I'm not listen. I'm not one to judge. I've never done a deep dive in it. Maybe tomorrow. Probably not though. Probably not.
Probably not.
What we will probably do is anybody who posts a picture of the Northern Lights, we'll have that on the show. And
Yeah.
I think, Dan, we should try to find another back test for a beginner. And I think that a long strangle, a movement trade, fixed debit are all great concepts. I think tomorrow maybe a credit trade would be another.
You think about a credit trade, for people who sell puts, right? People who like to sell puts, but you can put someone in an SPX out of the money put credit spread 5 wide.
Yes.
Or $400, $420 or whatever. And in a $6,000 vehicle,
yeah,
get the feel. I mean, I personally, this is just me, nothing wrong with it. I mean, but I would not steer someone towards naked options anywhere beginning. I mean,
right. You mean naked selling?
Anything. Yeah. Naked selling. Yes.
Yeah. No.
For me, I have no problem with naked selling for someone who knows what they're doing, experienced, understands the risk. But starting someone out with nakeds, I just think you're asking for trouble because they don't have the discerning, this is a potentially dangerous animal and I got to respect it. So, but I think a vertical credit spread in SPX for $420 only to get them to say, okay, you're going to do one every day or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
To develop the calluses on the hand. You have to do it. I mean,
that's what I'm going to find is, and Mark Anderson shared a couple like that. So this next back test is going to probably be credit based, more frequent, not fitted at all. And maybe it has some exit conditions, or maybe it doesn't. So tune in tomorrow and find out. We might double the number of people on the show tomorrow. And hopefully we double the number of pictures of aurora borealis. So that being said, everybody, it's Thursday. If it's a crazy Thursday, stay safe. If it's not a crazy Thursday, also stay safe. Easy for you to hear. Have a great day, everybody.